Hey, G-Baby here. I'm here with another big business movie review. Today I'm talking about the movie Beau is Afraid. And this is a very, very bizarre movie. I've never seen nothing like it, for good and for bad. So it stars Joaquin Phoenix. And I think Joaquin Phoenix is a tremendous actor. I think he's fantastic. And he brings his A game for this movie, but it's a mess. It's a convoluted mess. And it also had some of the most creative, crazy things most unpredictable movie I've ever seen, honestly. So let's dive into it. Spoiler free. I'm trying to keep it spoiler free here. So my buddy Vic wanted to see this movie, and I didn't know much about it going into it. I just know that the trailer doesn't, looks like it has different thematic elements that it looks like it might be a horror movie, it might be a little bit like drama, and I didn't really know what to expect. But it's from the creative minds behind Midsummer and what's that other movie? Hereditary, scary movie. So I expected it to be scary. I expected like horror. Didn't know what to expect. It was gonna be drama, a little bit of comedy, ended up being a mix of everything. And I gotta say, the first third of the movie started off very strong, very creative, going 100 miles an hour, and I was really invested in it. I was interested. I was kind of confused about certain things, but I was very invested. It had very smart writing, very creative scenes. It really kept you on your toes, guessing. It gave you a lot of anxiety and like tension build up, and it was also like ridiculous. So it made you laugh from the absurdity, pure absurdity. Is a great way to describe this movie, but especially the first third of the movie. So then it begins to slow down and begins to get even crazier and more out there with its plot, and kind of lost me a little bit. It started getting a little bit slower. The third act was a lot slower, but then it got so ridiculously, unpredictably absurd that it was a spectacle to watch in a good way and also in a bad way, because it lost all credibility with me once there was a certain scene that I'm not going to ruin that took place in the attic that I was just like, it lost me to the point where I started laughing hysterically. My buddy Vic started laughing next to me because he couldn't contain his laughter because, something happened that was so ridiculously and shockingly absurd that I was in shock. Like, I think the general audience was in shock for the whole duration of the scene. And then the next scene, I was just like, how can this keep going? The movie was a very long movie also, to its detriment. It was about 3 hours long, I believe. And it was way too long. I think it was very stylistic and it was well acted. It was really well acted. So it's so weird how I'm going to grade this one, because normally I give it a, score out of 10, 10 being a masterpiece. So this movie fluctuates between being like a 9 to being like a 2, like really just ridiculous and making absolutely no sense. The best way I can describe experiencing this film is like putting your brain in a blender and hitting the highest setting on it, just going click, like it was really ridiculous. And at points I thought maybe the point was to be so absurd that I don't understand everything and I'm questioning everything and I don't even understand my own sanity in watching this movie. Maybe it was, I don't know if that's what the director and writers were going for here, because there was scenes that I don't think were supposed to be funny that were like hilarious to me. And then there was other scenes that were more serious. I feel like they were very well written to be kind of funny and invoke a quick response from the audience. But overall, I gotta say this movie lost steam towards the later half and got so ridiculous that by the end of it and the way it ended, I was just like, I would not recommend this movie to no person unless you're a hardcore movie fan that wants to dive into a really artsy project, or you really want to see something completely absurd that you cannot guess what happens next in this movie. It is so ridiculously absurd. The craziest unpredictable movie I've ever seen, that so many WTF moments that I literally looked at my friend and was like, what the heck are we watching? But overall, I gotta say I give it a 5 out of 10, because you're either gonna hate this movie with a passion and think it's a complete dumpster fire, or you're gonna think this is some masterpiece that needs to be watched about 100 times to get all the details and understand. I will never watch this movie again, but it was really crazy. It was well acted, and it was a convoluted long mess. But there was one scene that I will not ruin here that was just took the cake for being the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in a movie, that I laughed so hysterically afterwards, because how do you top what they just did, that I thought I was going to kick it out of the movie theater, because I could not contain it. I was in tears laughing. I could not stop laughing. But eventually I got it together, and the movie just ended on a complete I don't even want to say cliffhanger, just more on a complete like. So it was overall, I don't recommend it to anybody unless you're really hardcore, want to do deep dive into like a movie, artsy movie project. So I don't know what the director's aim with this was. There was a lot of different tonal shifts, and it was very well acted. So I have mixed feelings too. Like, it's extremely well acted mess that defied logic and was extremely confusing at times of what was going on, and a lot of metaphors I'm sure were lost on me. But yeah, this was, I didn't know what to expect, and I'm glad I went in blind because I felt even more lost in the wilderness afterwards. But I had a lot of fun, mostly because me and my friend were laughing so much and really bewildered together. So go see it with a friend if you want. Otherwise, it's a crazy mess.